AskMen. Did you guys ever connect well with a girl just to find out she was lesbian? What was your reaction? So I met this girl, she was beautiful. I was surprised to how well the convo went. Constant eye contact and we spoke on the same subject matters. The first giveaway was that she mentioned breaking up with her girlfriend. And I thought GF? Well, girls these days refer to their friends as GF, right? So keeping that little bit of hope, I continued the convo. And she was awesome. When the bar started closing, my suspicions were confirmed. I asked for her number and she told me I'm gay. I'm like, oh, okay then. I then just said it's cool, what's your ig? We exchanged and it was cool. We had a good convo, and no regrets. Well, at least one. Just the fact I could not be with someone as awesome as her. But at the very least she can be a good wingman wingwoman? Sigh. I have a few girl that are friends who are lesbians and they are the greatest. When I was raising my son as a single father, they step up when he needed a mom for some event and were very protective of him. I can call them when I need a date to some stupid function I have to attend for work and they look hot as hell. Best drinking buddies to have. I know I'll stay out of trouble because they have my back and I have theirs. I love my close lesbian friends. They are my best, truthful friends. One of my favorite ambulance partners was a lesbian. She was my first gay friend, and could pull chicks like a magnet. We had a riot together. The plus side is that this won't be an awkward friendship. Smiley face. Please don't think that this has implied any meaning. I have heard of men who've been long-term friends with women and then have asked them out, only to be rejected and have this pretty much end the friendship. It's happened to me. When I was getting on the plane to go to basic training for the army, I met a girl on that flight who joined up as well. Over the course of our travel, her and I stuck together and talked the whole time. Admittedly, I was crushing very hard but was keeping myself together cause I knew we were gonna be separated when we got to wherever we were going. In the last leg of our trip, after our second plane touchdown and on the bus, she confided to me about her sexuality. This was before Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed, and she was nervous about someone finding out and getting her kicked out. Because of the situation surrounding this whole thing, I kinda forgot that crush real quick because I was so concerned with the whole army policy and her joining up. I reassured her that things would go well, and I actually bumped into her after basic training was over and we caught up on how the last 9-ish weeks were for us. Yes. Congratulations, you just made a friend. Not a let's just be friends but an actual friend. On the contrary, I connected well with a girl who through a lot of gathered context I presumed was lesbian. She never confirmed this herself however, and after a month of feelings swelling inside me I decided to say fuck it and shoot my shot and ask her on a date. She was really excited and said yes and we've been dating ever since. She's not lesbian but is bi and apparently I am the first male she's liked enough to want to date. She told me she loves me the other night. I love her too. Feels goodman.jpg, best friends and my wife and her wife get along. I am a guy. Once I met a girl and she kind of was into me for about 2 months but I wasn't into her. So after she said what she felt I had to say no. She got kinda depressed because of it. About 3 months later I met her and she confirmed that she has a GF now and that she realized that she isn't into boys at all. It's kind of a different story but still worth mentioning. We became friends after and had fun together. Yup. Spent a few days getting on really well with a girl in the first week of university, nothing romantic but felt like it would turn that way. Then she said she had had an argument over the phone with her girlfriend back home. I felt quite hurt at the time but didn't take it out on her. I tried to think back on how the previous few days had gone and tried to think whether she had actually led me on or whether I was interpreting signals incorrectly but didn't come to any conclusion and just moved on. I have very few female friends, so finding out she's lesbian wouldn't change much. Since this hasn't happened, my only 2 female friends are both bi, married her, have a kid together. She is now happily remarried to a woman and I'm happily remarried to another woman and we are all friends. Yeah, probably. Keep her as a wing woman. I know exactly how you feel. A while ago I was working on a movie, acting. A day before filming I'm supposed to meet the actress, who's playing my wife, and the director to go through some scenes. I was really nervous cause I had no idea what she looked like. When she walked in it felt like the world stopped. She was so fucking beautiful. Director introduced us and then left us to get to know each other. We started talking and we hit it off pretty good. At least that's what I thought. Director comes back to walk us through the script and do some rehearsals. We go through the schedule for the first day and then out of the blue he says, "Okay, now I need you to kiss." I had no idea what to do and she comes to me, leans in and kisses me. Director said, "See, I need that to be believable tomorrow," and then he just left us to practice. I don't even know how many times we kissed, and I gotta admit that was my favorite part of the whole project. Next few days went well and we spent all of the time together. I was building up courage to ask her out when I accidentally found out she was lesbian. That's not even the best part. After that I found out that not only did she have a girlfriend but her girlfriend was also working on the film. Dot. 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 Sorry for the long post. We stayed friends and she became a source of insight. What's wrong with just having a good friend like that? Yeah, it has happened to me. But having lesbian friends is freaking amazing. This happened to me recently. I met this girl and she was really attractive in a unique way that I was really drawn to. We also share lots of common interests and she just seemed like a really interesting person. When I asked her out she didn't actually tell me she was gay, which I could understand. But we went out for coffee as friends and I found out later. It was a bit of a bummer, but she was really nice about it. There are 3 really important things to remember. Human connection is almost, but not quite, more important than sex. You guys had a great connection. Keep that. Sexual relationship will come and go. Deep connections are more valuable over the long term. There is a really important thing called social proof. If an attractive woman introduces you to another woman, it raises your value. Just remember that you have to not fuck up with the introduced girl, because, like when a friend tells you about a job, they lose face if you turn out to be a jerk. Lastly, for reasons that I have never understood, attractive women have attractive women friends. And she will know which ones swing for which team. 3 days later I realized she was wanting a threesome with me and my wife. No, I am not a smart man. Sometimes I haven't. But having a connection with a boy just to find out he's gay? Yeah. BTW, as a girl, we don't refer our friends as GF. You mean, girlfriends? With space between 2 words? Pink Triangle by Weezer plays. Straight up dated someone for a whole summer who turned out to be lesbian. And this wasn't even in my 20s, this was in my early 30s. She was very closed off with communication but seemed to like me, so I thought we were taking things super slow. Ended up really messing me up because although she was willing to spend time together, nothing went further than some light kissing. Found out later that not only was she a virgin, but she quickly started dating a woman after she left our area. Overall not a fun experience as I really liked her. But when you're attracted to outdoorsy women with short hair and no makeup, well, I guess that's just what you're in for. Good luck in your future endeavors. Not exactly. We dated for a few months. Nothing changed much from our prior friendship aside from spending time closer together. After we had our mutual breakup, she came out of the closet. We're still close, and now we give each other dating tips. I had a crush on a student at a music lesson studio I worked with for years. After a few months I had the courage to ask her out to one of our employee get-togethers. I picked her up, we went out and had dinner and drinks, had a great time. When I dropped her off I said I would really like to see her again, and I guess the entire time she never realized it was a date in my eyes. So she let me know she was a lesbian. I laughed at myself and we joked about it and honestly became great friends afterwards. We would even have sleepovers and it was never weird at all. She moved across country since then and I haven't seen her for years, but I still talk to her and miss that friendship. Then you make a friend. If you guys clicked, then you clicked. Be homies. Sounds like the 2 of you had more in common, just like girls. Having at least one close female friend could probably even be beneficial if you consider yourself shy. There doesn't have to be a romantic component to these things. 2 of my closest friends are gorgeous women and they have taught me so much and added much joy to my life. Not lesbian but 100% asexual. I asked her on a date, she said I'm asexual but would still like to hang out, but I don't want to date because I don't think it would be fair to you. My response was something like, "Oh, didn't realize, we're still on for next week, right?" She was apprenticing as a tattooer and was doing one for me. We became very good friends until our mutual friend who introduced us played this weird push-pull game with us and made everything a disaster. What you have experienced is the possibility of having a woman as a friend. And that's a big deal because you can then learn so see women not as partners but as friends, which is what we as men should be doing all the time. A lesbian friend of mine decided she wanted to try something new, so I got to be her experimental phase. After a few dates and some kissing/petting, she got back together with her ex-girlfriend. I'm glad I got the chance to show this young lesbian how little she was missing. Maybe you could pull a Kramer from Seinfeld? /S. Shocking that a woman could exist for you outside of a mother/sister/GF context. Whatever will you do? She became my best guy friend and we hella chill. Well, she became one of my best friends lol. Did. I just moved to a new state for work and found out a pretty cool chick lived next door. We talked and got on well. Like around a week after we met we had sex. Then the next day she tells me she's gay. That was fine, like I said she was super cool. Hung out a ton the next few months before I moved again. She did want the D again one other night in there too. To this day I'm not sure if I'm so irresistible that even lesbians can't resist me, or if I'm so effeminate that lesbians are attracted to me. This happens very often for me. Apparently, I am not very good at detecting who is and isn't a lesbian. Part of it is that I am a member of the rugby community, where there tends to be more lesbians around than among usual communities. I had a new job. The girl that had sat closest to me I talked to quite a bit. She occasionally would mention her relationship with someone who had a name that could be male or female. I never thought too much about that part and just assumed it was a guy. There was absolutely zero sexual tension/flirting/etc. but she was a cool chick. One day she showed me a picture of her significant other and I saw it was a girl. I then realized a number of stories suddenly made more sense. Hadn't ever thought about it and not something we had discussed up that point. She was full on into other women. Anyhow, she turned out to be a phenomenal wing woman. She would chat up other girls for me at happy hour and tell them lies like lots of girls had crushes on me, I'm a great lover, hung like a can of tennis balls, etc. It was awesome. Met this girl a while back, we connected super well and even casually dated for a couple months but then broke up because she thought she might be bi and wanted to experiment with that. We connected so well that we remained friends and now about 1.5 years later she is my best friend and we share a house. She has a long-term girlfriend and they're pretty much so well off together. I was a bit hurt at the beginning cause I really connected with her and that never happens, but I'm really happy how things turned out. Honestly, life would have been much harder this past year if I didn't have a best friend like her. My point is, having a girl best friend is amazing and I think as guys we grow up being taught that if we get close to a girl we need to date her otherwise we are somehow failing at being a man, which isn't true. Friendships are just as valuable, if not more. At work they had this newer girl that is super cute ride with me for a day. She is incredibly cute with her curly black hair and glasses. About 30 minutes into our conversation she says something about her GF. I'm thinking she means her friend, but sure enough she is a lesbian that lives with her GF. Needless to say that kinda sucked to find out she wasn't single, nonetheless not attracted to guys. She was really easy to talk to and I talked to her about things that I don't normally talk to co-workers about. Well, bit because I was connecting with her. I am an exchange student in France and there was this other exchange girl at my school here. She was pretty hot and we were talking about parties and drugs and she said yeah, the first time I tried ecstasy was because of a girl I was kidding with. Well, I was a bit surprised. I went out with a friend in college once. Kind of awkward but we stayed friends, and I went to her sorority formal. She came out a year or two later and it made a lot of sense. We became good friends. For years. Still keep in touch, though we have both moved. I mean it's honestly not that different from hitting on a straight girl that isn't interested. Once they say no, it's time to move on. Every girl I've 22 meters, ever had a huge crush on or dated by at the time, have all turned out to be lesbian. There's been 8 of them so far, so when I connect well with a girl I just assume she's a lesbian. I'm a girl. There was this cute dude that my friend introduced to me but told me he was gay. After 3 months of chatting on Snapchat and play flirting I asked if he was actually gay. He wasn't and I was low-key pissed at my friend and not realizing it earlier. My first GF cheated on me with a chick. Turns out she was bi. Years later I was into a girl, turns out she was on/off with another girl. So far not so good XD. As a straight woman, you can still enjoy her company as a friend, you know. The correct response is I love girls too, let's get a drink, and check them out together. Met her at an art show, We hang out on and off for weeks afterward. We get along great, similar interests and both of us practicing artists and musicians. One night we go to dinner and I ask if she's in a relationship. She tells me no. Pause, but I'm a lesbian, I thought you knew. I apologize, we awkwardly laugh it off, the night goes on. She was one of the first real friends I made after moving to the city. We've been friends for 4+ years. Yup, we lived in the same student apartment complex and had the same summer job. Excellent wing woman, if another girl vouches that you're a decent person you have it way easier, a great friend to share a beer and have good and frank conversations with through the highs and lows of life. Fucking bummer that she died in a freak accident 10 years ago. The first girl I ever fell in love with. We dated for 6 months. Apparently she had been having doubts and uncertainties from the start, but wasn't sure of herself and delayed asking herself some hard questions. We were in college. On the day we moved back in after summer break she broke up with. Crying, saying we should still be friends, etc. We spoke a handful of times after that, but didn't really remain friends. It makes a breakup very hard to process. You can't really be angry. She didn't want to break up. She said she was happy and still loved me in a way, but realized the error of what she had been trying to force. It also caged any instinct I had to fight for the relationship. What's the point of desperate calls at 3 a.m. if there's no words that could change her answer? She's one of my best friends now, and was second in line for being the best man at my wedding. I'm dumb, she's a lesbian. I thought I had found the one. That has not happened to me, but I've gotten close with a girl to find out she thought I was gay. Yes, my best friend is a lesbian. We've been boys for years now. Back in the 90s I was DJing at an outdoor venue. There was this really good-looking girl that was always right at the front dancing or she was buzzing around the dance floor. We kept making lots of eye contact and she was clearly enjoying the set. I was killing it, cool face. At one point she walked by and slapped my ass. I took this as a clear signal of interest. She was friends with some of my friends and they mentioned that she was saying really great things about the set. She had just returned from an international trip to the UK where she did a lot of clubbing, so this was a pretty great compliment. After the set I ran into her on the dance floor and we started talking. Super cool girl, a bit older than I was early 20s, and definitely more cultured. My friend saw what was going on and pulled me aside and said, "Dude, she's a lesbian." This was back in the 90s before gay people were really out like they are now. But, homosexuality and gay people were pretty common in the rave scene. It was a place where everyone was welcome from any background at all. As long as you were down with the music you were family. So, I switched from swoop mode to just hanging out mode. She became a pretty regular fixture of our crowd after that. Are you Steve from Stranger Things? Starting chatting with a new coworker at an event as I like to get to know everyone on my team. Friendly, funny, cute, similar ideology etc. Then she started dropping her wife into the conv. In my head I'm thinking cool, I respect that. It's tough being married regardless of orientation and they are making a genuine go at it. So I asked her about her marriage, her partner etc. and got to know her more. Then the conversation shifted to side hustles and she told me about their knitting items non-profit that sends money to domestic violence support groups. As someone who has been a victim of DV, I'm like I'll take a winter hat haha. We exchanged numbers and have been trying to make plans to hang out outside of work. Maybe I'll even get to pet her doggo. My best friend and decided she was a lesbian after a failed marriage to a piece of shit that left her with 2 wonderful kids. She was seduced by a super hot counter clerk. She would tell me some things they would get up to, but let me down with and it's not a spectator sport. But she did say I was an honorary lesbian. So there's that. I was like oh damn, I should have realized earlier since she was with her long-term girlfriend. Both are really cool, full-on nerds, doing cosplay, shootings, tabletop nights, and so on. Nothing you can do. Just treat them like a normal person and try to bury your attraction for them in a deep, dark place in your heart. Then cry yourself to sleep at night. I had a job many years ago as a teaching assistant in a community college for a college prep math course. One girl was having issues with math and I ended up tutoring for her. She paid me because she felt like she had to. I never pressed the issue because I just liked being with her and finding her attractive was a bonus. Found out she was a lesbian pretty early on. Still taught her in class and tutored her. At the end of the semester she was very grateful for my help and she ended up passing the class. I was thrilled for her. At the same time I realized we never even became friends enough to keep in contact once the class was over. Needless to say I'm still sad about it decades later. She had her life and I'm wasting mine. My best friend of over 8 years started out as a girl I tried to pick up, and she turned out to be a lesbian. She wasn't out yet, but she had a girlfriend. I met them both thinking she was introducing me to her friends because there was something there. Nope, she introduced me so that she could then tell me her girlfriend was, well, her girlfriend. My group was the first people they came out to. She was a great friend and we were close. She was my roommate for a long time. But it turned out we made stupid decisions when drunk, and we were drunk a lot. In the end killed our friendship. Kinda a sad funny story. But that's for a different post. Ever heard the song Pink Triangle by Weezer? If not you should give it a listen. I don't want to sound like I'm gatekeeping here, but finding gay partners is tough. Everyone likes to throw around this 24% number, but I'm inclined to think the number of people who really want a homosexual relationship is less than 10%. As someone who wants to avoid online dating apps, it sort of reverses the process. Instead of finding someone I have interest in, I need to get to know them first. I can imagine it would make almost every straight guy pretty uncomfortable if I asked them out. I have been on the other side of that once, and I can only imagine how it feels. It's just not something you assume about a person. I always assume people are straight and I don't think that's an issue tbh. We became very close friends. We fell in love with each other as friends. We were in a lot of ways a couple, but platonic. She got mixed feelings when a female crush of hers washed out of the Navy and expressed feelings for her. I guess she really did fall for me harder than I thought. It messed with her identity. Without warning, I got ghosted. It started out worrying me that something happened to her. I had anxiety attacks about the safety of my friend. I cried a lot. I later found out they were married and she was happy. I'm happy for her. I get why she had to go away from me. It just would have been nice not to have been ghosted so savagely. I've connected with a few. They let me know they are lesbian. No big deal, never interfered with anything I do. But never bothered to exchange numbers. Never thought to ask due to social media. However, she was probably not comfortable offering her number due to whatever reason. It's just I'm gay happened to be the first thing she thought to say maybe. Either way, you still get to talk with her. Sounds like a friendship is born. I actually ended up having sex with her. A lot. We were in our teens and I was dating her friend but she was awful. Just to give you some perspective, the ex-GF would tell the lesbian I was mentally and physically abusive, leading to the lesbian saying after 10 minutes of speaking to me, "Why, you're not a monster." I had no idea she was speaking like that about me. I was only 15 or so. Found out after we broke up. It got a little weird. We had sex a lot, then feelings got involved and we went our separate ways. She was super cool though. Yup. Although I don't even get around to asking them out formally, the topic of their girlfriend comes up ever so subtly in the convo. I guess better that, than coming to screeching halt like your example. Honestly, I'd still be thrilled I made a possible friend. I have never connected with a girl in a romantic context who I found out was a lesbian because I try to figure these things out quickly. I don't like wasting time. I used to have a roommate that was kinda cute. She'd have girlfriends over that were clearly gay but I never made the connection lol. Only when we went dancing one night, just before I moved out, and she told me her ex was DJing and it turned out to be woman. Did I get it? Cute girl I met when I was 19. Asked her out after hanging a few times. Said she was lesbian and I jokingly said I'll give it some time. She left and we were friends for a couple years. Year and a half later I was banging her and turned her back onto dudes. Was a proud moment of my life. Had this one bartender that wouldn't leave me alone all night and I was sure she was into me. At the end of the night I asked if I could have her number and she said she was gay, which we both laughed about. We met up a few times after that to drink/play pool. Not me, but my best friend has a major issue with lesbians and it's always a huge fight between us. I'm openly bi and he constantly tells me off for it. Telling me I need to stick to dick since in his mind I'm just stealing females from him. Which isn't the case. If he meets a lesbian he's immediately rude and will complain for the rest of the night. I love how mad he gets because it's completely unreasonable and he can be a really big ass over it. Edit spelling. One of my close friends in college. We had the same major, a lot of the same hobbies, she was funny, smart, gorgeous, and she was just a sweet person in general. Finding out she was gay honestly hurt pretty bad, but that's the way she goes. Yes. Was in 7th grade and had a major crush on her. She asked me out on Christmas, then told me she actually liked girls too. I was like, yeah, I like girls as well? Not seeing her point. I realized what she meant and panicked knowing my friends would meme me to eternity. Would have been different if it wasn't 7th grade. Sorry for the long text and for the grammatical errors you'll encounter throughout your read, but this hits hard. I was talking with this beautiful girl for 3 months. When I say beautiful I mean I've never seen such a gorgeous person before. I'm pretty beta and I thought she considered me a friend because she still is way out of my league. I also have never felt such emotion before. We were together for 2 months and I was the happiest person alive. This year is rough for me and the start of it couldn't have been better. On our first date we had so much fun. She is such an interesting person, I couldn't believe I was this lucky with life for once. On October 22nd of this year she came out at me. I was speechless. It was a Monday and she told me on Saturday that apparently she had sex or whatever with a friend of hers that was lesbian beforehand. I still am in a shock. I don't mind her sexuality in a homophobic way. From the happiest me I went to depressed like 3 years ago me in one evening. I've been with girls, not a lot but not few. She taught me what actually feeling is like. I was so in love with her. I can't wrap my head around it, that she's gone. She said all those things, I'm so sorry, it hasn't been a while since I've been like this and whatnot. To be honest, she was too good to be true for me. Thanks for reading. Oh yeah, one of the hottest coolest chicks I know is a lesbian. We get along well cause we both like hot chicks lol. Honestly dudes, most lesbians would never talk to me long enough for a connection. Lamau. When you're gay and this post is basically life. I got a hand job from my lesbian landlord couple years ago. She showed up with her girlfriend unannounced one night. Which was a big surprise because she lived about 8 to 9 hours away. I had thrown a party at the house. She joined, we were all drinking and smoking cigars I think. It was a 3-bedroom house and the other 2 rooms had my roommates in them, so she slept in my room. Her girlfriend slept on the couch I had by the bed. Next morning she tells me she had put up the house for sale and we had to move out. Kim, if you're reading this, I hope you're well. Yay man. We had crazy times together. We worked at an ice cream shop, sort of like Baskin-Robbins but with a sailor theme. We spent the summer together, and things got wild when these European guys started making weird deliveries at our mall. Needless to say we went through it. After all that though, we're sitting in a bathroom, after having puked our brains out, and she tells me she was never into me. She was into a girl who was into me. Still not over that one. All my friends who are girls are gay, with 2 exceptions. One is in a relationship, the other is an old friend. It happens. You just be like, well, fuck. Glad you're comfortable with your sexuality. Then you either decide if you want a friendship with this person or not. Here's a piece of advice every man should know. You can be friends with women without wanting to sleep with them. If you had that good of a connection with that person, you should have made them your friend and maintain the connection as a friendship. My friend was dating this girl for around 2 to 3 months. Lo and behold, come Valentine's Day he gets her flowers and a whole bunch of stuff only to have her tell him that she's not only breaking up with him, that she is a full-blown lesbian. Dude skulked the rest of that day. I met a friend in college, high school if you're American, and she was great. We got on well, went walked with each other to get coffee from the campus Costa. She was 5/7 good looking, but that was irrelevant. I never really pushed as hard with her romantically as I did with other girls. By that I mean I would occasionally bring up sexual or romantic topics with the others in the group to gauge their feelings and reactions, which in hindsight was a terrible idea, possibly because something in the back of me head knew. Either way, it became apparent she was gay, and we continued our great friendship all the way to sharing a final Costa the last day of term. Oh well. Honestly, this is better than being denied by a straight woman, not lesbian but asexual. Still friends, and she ever found out. But it does stink to know it could never happen. That's happened to me so many times. Yay, when that happens she just becomes one of the brothers instead. Lose the GF idea in exchange for a friend, a-okay hand. Yes. She is a co-op student at work and we became friends. We work together every day, but she is leaving in less than a month. She was a really good kisser, not exactly what you asked for but similar. In my first year of university I was meeting a lot of new people, including this one girl that I soon started growing feelings for. But she was obviously not into me and got along much better with this other guy in her group that was much taller, stronger, good-looking and more social than me. So as the year progressed all I could really do was watch how the two got closer and wait for them to become a couple. As I was waiting for that moment to come I was near the end of the year taking to her when she confesses that she was seriously thinking about studying something else the next year, and while we texted from time to time, I knew that would be the killer for our friendship. The last evening before our final exam I was chatting with her when the guy from her group was brought up, and she subtly mentioned something that gave away that the guy was in fact gay. There had never been anything between the two and there never would be. So that was definitely one of those moments where I wanted to punch myself in the face and had to try very hard not to start laughing with my own stupidity right there. Have a good friend who's a lesbian. We acknowledged that if she was attracted to men we would be a great couple, but we just have fun and hang out every now and then. It feels nice to have a female friend who can make me feel like a catch even when dating isn't going well. Yeah, I met a girl during the summer. She was smart, pretty, cute, really cute, had a great personality, all the works. I started really liking her. Me being bi, my other friend being gay and my other friend being bi as well, we got into a convo about sexualities. She promptly said she was lesbian. I liked her a lot by then, but she's a great friend and we talk sometimes. Wasn't awkward or anything, but yeah. I used to work with this girl at an ice cream joint inside a mall. At first she was kind of a pain in the ass, but then she really helped me and my friend out with this one Russian project. We had to spend some time through some dangerous situations, but we grew pretty close from that. She helped me through a really tough time after I had gotten beat up. We ended up getting really high, non-consensually, but we shared a ton of laughs. It was then that I realized how awesome she was. I was too stuck up in high school to have noticed someone like her, but I had realized how incredibly smart and funny she was. She made me feel relaxed. Someone I could totally be real and open with. Then one night, we were hanging out on the floor of a bathroom after watching a movie. I confessed my feelings for her, but it turned out that, while she did really like me as a friend, she was attracted to other women. My best friend is a gay. I didn't know this when I first met her, but we just hit it off big time. I was never interested in her that way, and she of course felt the same. One day, we went to the city for New Year's and went to this random DJ party event. We split up, I did my moves, which apparently weren't as good as I thought they were, and went back to her. I noticed her talking to this other girl and got this gut feeling that this was more than just a friendly chat between two women. When I approached them, I deliberately introduced myself as her friend. FFD some time later and I was staying at her place for a little while when I used the computer and went on CL and noticed the Women Seeking Women link purple. And I was like, whatever. Now what was I looking for? A couple of years after that I came back from abroad, we had dinner together and she was like I had sex with a woman. Of course, being a guy, I was like nice ! BTW, I kinda already knew that about you. This was some 7 years ago. To this day we're still extremely close. I was a best man at her wedding, held her baby the day after she was born, and even babysat her last weekend. She was / is my rock when I have emotional problems, which is quite often. Always being there for me. There's nothing that I wouldn't do for her. BTW, we marked our 15-year friendiversary last month. And #X200B. Edit, for clarity, I babysat my friend's daughter, not my friend Smile. I had a similar situation, we became good friends for a while and she decided she wanted to try to be with a guy and felt close enough with me to try it. You never know, brings me back 10 years ago. I was working part-time as a barista at a coffee shop. Then came along this new part-timer. I still remember how she looked like till this day. Her skin was snow white. Her cheeks were as red as a rose. Her lips was small and pink. Her eyes shines brightly no matter what time is it. It was love at first sight. So since then I fixed my schedule to whenever she's working. We made small talks. I learned that she's my age. Stays very near me and she actually have some mutual friends. Then one day, we were knocking off together and finally I was able to send her home. But our supervisor, who was obvious lesbian, short hair, tomboyish, was also taking the same bus as us. I didn't think much about it since we were all quite close. We got up the bus together and I went all the way to the back to find us some seats. For some reason they remained at the front. Perhaps they wanted some space for some girls' talk or whatever. Until halfway through the journey, I saw my supervisor caressing her hair in a very intimate way. My insides turned. After my supervisor dropped at her stop, me and the part-timer stays further away from her, I dropped her a text asking if she's together with our supervisor. She replied, "Yeah, kinda." We dropped off the bus together and made some more friendly small talks, then we turned to our separate ways. She went home. And I went to my friend's place for some beer. I was dating a bi girl because she thought it would work out with me, male. We had so much in common, interests, etc., but apparently I kept putting her in her feminine energy since my masculinity increases when I'm with my girl. She said I played all my cards right and truly felt it loved, cherished and cared for, but she realized she really wants females a lot more. I know I'm not at fault for anything, but that still hurts knowing that no matter what you do, you can't be loving with a person who wanted to romance you because her sexual preference changed her mind. Sigh. We made out a little, then she said she was definitely sure she was gay now, very often actually. It feels pretty good to talk to a girl, regardless if she is a lesbian or not. Plus they seem to be very supportive in my life. Yes, I just go to my buddy/child Dustin and cry. Happened to me last summer. Started hanging out with a nice cute Italian girl as we lived very close. We would hang out every day and I would walk her dog. Then one day it clicked, 2 girls in a 1-bedroom apartment. She hadn't actually come out to anyone yet, so it was anyone's guess. Not long after she made her grand coming out social media post, and of course no one was at all bothered. This is Brighton after all. I don't know many people here that are 100% straight. As for my reaction? There wasn't one really, I just stopped thinking about her in that way. Carried on our friendship as normal until I moved away. I thought this was going to be an elaborate Stranger Things ruse. One of my uni classmates. The first week of classes we talked about stuff and turns out we have similar taste in music and series. When classes were over that day I asked her if she wanted to go to the cafeteria to keep talking over some coffee and we went. During that conversation she showed me pics of her girlfriend and I did my best to hide my surprise. I either did a good job or she noticed but decided to not mention it, lol. Anyway, we kept talking and became friends. Which is great because months later she introduced me to my current girlfriend. I happen to be friends with many lesbians, it's weird yet nice. I've been meeting up with this group via meetup.com. One of the regulars, this gorgeous girl who I became friends with. Chat, laugh, share drinks, all good fun. The other night, we were out clubbing and the two of us starting dancing. Oh my god, it was some of the best dancing I've done in a very long time. I started sending a few vibes, but wasn't getting anything in response. No big deal, the night is long. I had no idea. In walks 2 ladies, one's a cute redhead. My friend walks up to the redhead looking her up and down like she ordered it for dinner. I just started laughing in the back. I spent the rest of the night dancing with the other lady and our group while my friend was making out with the redhead up against a wall. We had sex, became best friends and stood in her wedding last year. Sounds like you made a cool friend. Congrats. I had a friend tell me she was lesbian. I already knew and thought it was known. My response was, okay, that's cool, are we still hanging out later? I just wanted to know if we were still going to the movie or not. When I was younger I seemed to have an unerring ability to have monstrous crushes on lesbians. They let me down easily and I became good friends with them to this day. When our daughter was born our closest friends were a lesbian couple. They're some of the best people I know. They've married, ceremony was in our backyard, and raised 2 beautiful, smart, firecracker daughters. When their girls were younger and we lived closer I was a kind of father figure to them. 22 years later I still think of them as my other girls. Honestly at the end of the day they're people. And that's what I love about them. Not once, not twice. 3 times. Admittedly, I only found out one was a lesbian years after we stopped talking, but still. Turns out that being friendly with zero expectation for dating a guy gives girls an attractive confidence and easy way of socializing. Or my gaydar is inverted. Either/or. I dated a lesbian when we were 14. She wasn't out at the time. I'm not even sure if she knew at the time. We broke up for reasons unrelated to her sexuality. Met a girl off Tinder a few years ago and we hit it off pretty well. After we hung out a few times I asked her on a date and she said yes but would later change her mind. Turns out she was realizing/accepting she just wasn't into guys but she did really enjoy my company. Honestly I didn't take it all too well as I was really into her and was coming off a relatively recent breakup but we stayed in touch and she went back to school and started dating a girlfriend of hers. Eventually her GF told her she wasn't comfortable with us staying in touch, meanwhile she was cheating on my friend with guys the whole time apparently. So we didn't talk or see each other for 2 years until we bumped into each other at Target. We started talking and hanging out and are now each other's best friend. We mostly complained to each other about the girls in our lives. A lesbian was my girlfriend for 4 months. I was really dumb, right? So guys, don't be with a girl if she says she's not ready for kissing and stuff. Just run like Usain Bolt. She just might turn out to be a good friend. My dad almost left my mom for a woman he was having an emotional affair with, but didn't because she was a lesbian. Turned out she thought he was a friend and he thought it meant she was into him, and I'm pretty sure he knew she was a lesbian the whole time, too. I knew pretty early on that the woman I had just met was gay, so it instantly removed any possibility of misunderstandings or awkwardness. It was a little disappointing, but I'm glad it's worked out the way it has. We've become very close friends, even joking that if she were straight, or if I were a gay woman, we'd be all over each other. Fell hard for this girl at work for her to tell me after our first kiss she was a lesbian. Always thought she made that up to kind of let me down gently. The ultimate "it's not you, it's me." Years later found her on Facebook and looked at some picture of her kissing her wife. Yeah, I was a comic book illustrator and writer and a fellow writer invited me and my inker to a bar where she got up and sang a song. I thought it was intended for me, instead of the girl next to me. A friend is actually hard to meet. Hope you didn't lose that number. All the time. Frown. Yup. Well, we ended up living together as roommates for almost 5 years. I officiated her wedding last year. She's honestly one of the best friends I could ever have. Oh, and she used to be the best wing woman in history for picking up girls at the bar. Downside was they tended to bolt when sober and heard I had a female roommate. It's kinda like having a friend you connect with, right? I made a great friend. I like to think that all girls who have rejected me were secretly lesbians. Worse, I had thought there was a connection with a few women who apparently saw me as a brother or father figure. Regardless, you can be a good friend. I remember my first breakup was her leaving me for another girl. She was bi, with a preference for girls. She may as well have been lesbian, but I digress. I thought things were going well for several weeks, then she texted me sad news. I was shook. To be broken up with hurt, but to be left for another woman? Simply emasculating. But that was 8 years ago and said experience has made me stronger. Why would have a particular reaction to finding out someone's personal business? What the fuck is this question? Is the only human connection you're after romantic? Are all conversations with you a secret transaction where you get something afterward? Mentioning her GF was a way to probably signal her lack of interest and you just blew right past it because you operate as if the only way to connect with a woman is romantically. I'm making a lot of assumptions here and I accept that I may be wrong, and if so, I apologize for sitting in judgment. I knew a Canadian lesbian. She was a Klondike. I had a crush on this girl and I started talking with her and I was surprised how smoothly it was going. But then she told me she was a lesbian and my heart broke, but we still remain good friends. She always has my back and once I feel for a girl who I did not know at the time was bad influence, she kept telling me and then she took things in her hand and was touchy with me in front of her. Thanks to her things did not go well, girl, and I finally got her point and thanked her for looking after me. P.S. I also a huge crush on Ellen Page from Inception, which was also crushed. Ask Ross Geller. My GF is mostly lesbian, obviously a little bi, because she is dating me, but I'm the only guy she has ever been attracted to. No, I'm not like a girl in any way, shape, or form. My reaction when she came out was just to encourage her, and it's been pretty cool dating a lesbian girl who is only attracted to one guy, me. Ah yes, the pink triangle. Girl at work and I became friends, then soon she seemed to be obsessed with me, in a kinda good way. Fun person, very smart, actually funny, not many women make me laugh that easily. Wore my jacket to continuously sniff it, told a coworker she wants to bear my children and that they'd be genetically superior and that's why she likes me scent, etc. Even her best friend told me to ask her out. I'm an idiot with girls though, so we discussed dating a few times, since everyone thought we were, but she always had some reason against it. She'd also switch between saying she was bi and lesbian, so she wasn't sure why she was so attracted to me. Pink triangle. After some of the best / 5 months of my life, she suddenly cold-shouldered me. Stopped contacting me and asking to hang out. It was incredibly sudden and troubling for me, because she didn't give a reason at all. The close friend group we hung out with was mostly on my side and didn't understand her. Some were sus that I did something to cause it, I guess. She avoided me at work. Eventually she was acting very aggressive and mean to almost everyone, including me, especially when I was around. It was toxic as fuck. 2 years later I still don't know the exact reason she started hating me, besides this. Then she went to different country for college, but really to live with this guy who she'd probably been sexting and all that, the whole time she'd been leading me on. I knew they were in contact, he knew the situation with me and her, etc. Seemed like they were just friends, but I was always suspicious. Well, so, it's been hard since then. I've never had a girl show so much interest in me, before that or after that, but how the hell am I supposed to actually believe they like me now? Closest I've come to dating, and that never happened. No, but I met a girl that was a guy. My current so actually identified as lesbian when I first met her. Things just organically grew and we both noticed that. The unexpected happened and I took her heart. At first things were challenging. Especially with testing her sexuality, but things are going great still. Yes. She's been one of my closest friends for over 20 years. She was ride or die with me during my divorce, she was friends with us both. I would not trade her friendship for anything. Guys, follow the lead of women with close gay friends and have a close lesbian friend in your life. You'll be a better person for it. Also, when you get the friend line, form a woman you are interested in, take it seriously, be a friend. You might end up with really good lifelong friend. We dated anyways for a while. Turns out no matter how strong the connection, it's not gonna overtake the orientation. Congrats, you made a genuine connection with another human that could turn out to be a friend, possibly for a long time. It's pretty shitty that your consolation prize is making a friend. If she read this post she would never talk to you again. I instantly think wingman, because I have about 3 female friends that are lesbian/bi, and their advice has revolutionized how I approach relationships. Now, having said this, I do see them as something other than an advice machine. They have helped me through some really tough times, and given me support that most guy friends don't even scratch the surface of. Just a word to all guys, just because you can't date her, doesn't mean you can't benefit from having her in your life. If you give it a chance, you might find before long, that whatever you saw in her as a dating prospect, you'll see 10x that much in her as a friend. Either I've got enough friends so why bother continuing this conversation, or well, this will be a funny story later, or I wonder if she has a single sister. I stopped talking to her, claimed I was trans and that she was a bigot for not sucking feminine dick. I'm quite puzzled. Is it really a guy or a girl? First you said she's a lesbian and now you are saying has gay? What? I'm in a roller coaster here. Is gay and lesbian interchangeable? The comment section seems to be doing the same thing. What is happening? She had been lesbian for 10 years. Then I took out the vodka. Removed. No, almost all the lesbians I know are fat cholas. So no, dated a trans on accident though. Lesbians, the feminine ones, are awesome in my book. Had some great lesbian friends. One was the best wingman I ever had in my single days. I need to see what she's up to nowadays. I had sex with her. Finally some girl I can hang with that don't bring me the annoying girly emotions. I tried to convert and failed. Cassie. Cute face, amazing rack, same taste in music and movies and hobbies. Straight up. 100%, never even found a man attractive levels of lesbian. Soul crushing. Removed, deleted. What is her ig?